you to make him more sweet. You're too mean to me today. Eat that.
Okay, so now we're gonna go into an introduction. Swedish fish are like the worst thing ever. It's like you're just eating tar, like sugar, like basically just take like tar and put sugar on top of it. It's just terrible.
Give it to me.
Okay, so now we're going to introductions into knee shields. Okay, when I'm playing with knee shields, okay, just understand that knee shields at any given point are interchangeable with butterfly half guard. Like there's no reason why I can't just insert my hook or move to a knee shield. If my partner's crushing me, there's no reason why I can't just insert my hook or relinquish my hook. Okay, whenever I use knee shields without the gi, I typically favor low knee shields. Okay, I talked about this a little bit before. A high knee shield is more of an intermediary step, okay, so that I can recover my guard if my legs happen to get crushed together. My partner's goal when she goes to come in towards me is always to clear my knee either outside of her hip or separate my legs by sprawling and crush my two knees together. All right. This is going to be the point in which I switch to a high knee shield. All right. So as she goes to start coming in and crushing me, if she manages to sprawl her legs back and crush my knee shield, I use my high knee shield as an intermediary step where I can now bring my knee into my chest and recover. If I try to stay with a low knee shield here, you're just eventually going to get out pummeled. Your partner's going to pummel behind your legs, then you start to get out flanked, and everything's going to start to go south, as we saw in the passing instructional. So I use a high knee shield combined with a cross shoulder post and an inside bicep tie as an intermediary step to recapture my half guard, and now maybe off of this I can use it to go right into an off balance where I can go into a scoop grip, or I can move into an underhook and I can go into my attacks. But there's no inherent advantage of playing with a high knee shield for any amount of time without the gi. Okay, with the gi, of course, you have collar and sleeve grips. Without the gi, from here I can really only push my partner away, but I have no real ability to pull my partner into me, and I have no real ability to elevate my partner. All right, so with a butterfly hook, at least I can elevate my partner if she comes towards me. With a high knee shield, I don't really have that ability. With a low knee shield, I can lock my legs like so, and now as my partner goes to move away from me, I have the ability to pull my partner in. If she goes to crush me, just as with the high knee shield, I have the ability to push my partner away from me. So you saw this in the Kyle Bowen match, and he was playing a real cagey game. I was able to use a high knee shield or a low knee shield to start pumping him to and from towards me and away from me. Okay, so when my partner went to when she goes to start coming into me and she gets past my knee for any reason, I use a high knee shield as an intermediary step to go back into my recoveries and then back into my offense. Okay, but there's no real advantage of just playing a high knee shield for any amount of time. Okay. In addition, whenever I get to a situation where I have an underhook and I'm playing from a butterfly half guard, there's no reason why I can't take my my leg out and play with a knee outside, and then start to go into knee levers and follow up from here. If I shoot into a position from an outside knee and I get to an underhook, there's no reason why I can't insert a butterfly hook and then go into my sumigashis and open guard attacks from here. All right, so I can play these two interchangeably depending on what my opponent's reactions are. And that's what we're going to cover now. When we lock, a knee shield half guard, I want my top leg to come in and be my bottom ankle like so. So my partner goes to push into me. It's very hard for her to start crushing my two legs together. When she puts weight on my knee to push down like so, notice it pushes my ankle into my bottom leg. So it pushes this ankle up into this leg and wedges it in place. What I don't want is for my legs to be crossed like this, and now she pushes my knee down, my foot slips out, and now I get caught in a position where, yes, I have my legs locked, but the second she goes to crush my legs down and sprawl my legs, it pushes my ankle into a position where just my toes catch, and then the ankle slips off. So I always want to make sure that my top leg ankle is on bottom. So that now, as she goes to push my knee down, it catches with a strong connection, ankle to ankle. And now when she goes into a full sprawl and tries to separate my legs, it's not an easy thing to do. And now, of course, we have a situation where we play with a cross shoulder post and an inside bicep tie. Again, when we have a low knee shield, we're controlling our partner's hips from coming towards us. So there's no need to play in a situation where my knee and my elbow are connected. If we play with a high knee shield or a butterfly half guard, my knee and my elbow should always be connected, provided I'm not allowing my partner to come in and give half that initial framing. Okay? So we come in and we initially lock into a situation, and this is our starting position from a knee shield half guard. My partner goes to come in towards me, and we play here. When she goes to really put pressure into me, she goes to get past my legs. We have a very good situation here where now we can start pulling our partner in and starting to go into all of our attacks with entering into our partner's legs and using underhooks to come up, etc., etc. Now that's what we're going to look at right now. This is going to be more along the lines of a typical half guard series. I know butterfly half guard was a lot of open guard stuff and entering into the legs. This is more of your standard half guard coming up, getting to the second leg, going for the back, and going into an underhook versus whizzer situation versus entering into your partner's legs. So we'll see the difference now between the knee shield and the butterfly half guard. All right, so now let's look at inserting an underhook from a situation where we have a low knee shield and a situation where we have a high knee shield, okay? Now, obviously, as you touched on before, we can always look to scoop inside of our partner's far leg, and we can use this as a diversion to where my partner goes to sprawl her leg back. I can use this to shoot into an underhook like so, okay? I can also just use basic kazushis with my legs to get my partner up and over the right shoulder, okay? What I don't want, and what people tend to see this at the lower levels, what you don't want is to have a situation where you have a knee shield and an underhook, okay? When I have a butterfly guard, it's perfectly acceptable to have an underhook and have a leg in place, okay? Because now you're essentially in an open guard and you're looking to make contact with your partner and pull your partner in towards you. The whole goal of a knee shield is to create separation between myself and my partner, whether it be with a high knee shield, when she goes to crush me, is to push my partner away from me, or with a low knee shield, to where now I control the separation that I have with my partner. I can control the distance between her hips and my hips, and then her chest with my chest with the cross shoulder post. It doesn't make any sense to come up to have an underhook when I have a knee shield, whether low or high, because the knee shield is focused on pushing your partner away, and the underhook is focused on closing the distance between yourself and your partner. So it's counterintuitive. One is looking, on one hand, the lower body looking to make space, and at the upper body looking to take away space, and to close the distance. So when I have a butterfly hook, it's perfectly fine to have an underhook, because now you can start to go into your attacks where you can elevate your partner and you can start to go into all of your sumigeshis and leg entrances. Whereas when I have a true half guard where I have a knee shield, now it doesn't make any sense to have an underhook because I don't really have control of my partner. The underhook doesn't do anything because now I can't get close enough to my partner. She can easily just post in my head and pommel and push away, and it turns into a mess. And then she comes in exactly. And now I don't have a cross shoulder post. I'm up into a power prop. She gets past me and she flattens me out. Okay? So just understand, if you're playing a half guard with a knee shield, it's either knee shield or an underhook. If you're playing butterfly guard, then it's a butterfly hook, and it's permissible to have an underhook as well. Okay? So now, let's look at ways to shoot into an underhook, whether we use a diversion by trying to scoop the leg, or just a straight up underhook by off balancing our partner with a center line shift. Okay? When I go to scoop inside my partner's leg and she shoots the leg back and away, like so, I'm going to punch her underhook in place. Now, from this position, what I can't have is my partner bringing her head far across the center line and crushing my elbow, cross-facing me, and then flattening me out. Okay? So from this situation, I'm going to take my hand to an inside bicep tie, and I'm going to take my knee behind my partner's buttocks like so. So that from this situation, I get an underhook in place, and now I just pull my two knees over my right shoulder, and I force my partner into a center line shift, bringing the head from over my left shoulder and elbow to over my right shoulder. And now I punch an underhook into place, And now we're in a situation where we're in a strong half guard position. Now when she goes to get up, I follow to a power prop, and we're up into our underhook like so. Okay? You can use this from a butterfly half guard as well. So I come into a situation where I go to scoop the far leg, and she goes to come in. And now, the same mechanics as before, I just lift and close the knee, and now we can easily scoot into an underhook. More than likely, it's going to be hard to start scooping your partner's leg and getting into an underhook with someone who's very talented. If I try to put an underhook in from here, more than likely what's going to happen before I can get my partner coming up over my shoulder is she's just going to completely disengage, posture up, and now start backing away. Okay? So when I find I'm dealing with someone who's talented or just wants to stall, getting her head onto over my right shoulder with a basic kazushi with a pumping action is a lot of the times a lot more reliable. Where she's coming in to crush me like so, and I use a pumping action with my legs, okay? Where I push with my legs into her hip with the low knee shield, and now as she pushes back into me, I'm just gonna pull my knees to my chest and then extend my legs to put her hand on the floor. So I bring her knee off the floor, similar to before with the butterfly half guard. Now from here, I just bring a high elbow into place. I connect my shoulder to my partner's armpit. Now we punch an underhook into place. And now, wherever she goes from here, I can easily follow up and go into all of my attacks. Similarly, with a high knee shield, if we're using opportunistic underhook, from this situation, I push my partner, and as she goes to push back into me, I'm just going to look to kick my left leg high towards my partner's far shoulder, creating a center line shift and getting her head over my right shoulder. Where now I have that knee-elbow connection, and then I just blade my elbow through. What I can't have is a situation where I shoot my left knee through, and her arm falls in between, and there's a disconnect between my knee and my elbow, and now she comes in and flattens me out. This is no good. So I keep that strong knee-elbow connection, where now from here, I can shoot into an underhook, and we can go to work. When we're working with a high knee shield, let's say, for example, we're in a situation where our partner goes in to crush us with a low knee shield, and she crushes my legs together. Now from here, she goes to start coming forward towards me. I use that high knee shield to recover guard, and right off the recovery, I sit up to an underhook, and now we're ready to work. Okay, so like I said, we use opportunistic attacks when we're using a high knee shield, or maybe I'm getting beat from here, my guard's about to start to get compromised, and she goes to play, go to come forward into me, and I bring that high knee shield in, and I get my partner to center line shift with the head, and we can get in and control an underhook on our partner. Okay, so we can do one of two options. We can either start with attempting to scoop the leg. Okay, so we can be playing in here. She goes to crush me. I go to shoot. She goes to sprawl back and away, and now I can use this to come into an underhook. From this situation, I shoot my leg behind my partner's hamstring, and I always look to block my partner's crossface if I can. If she gets a crossface, it's not a big deal if you can immediately off balance your partner and get your head underneath her chest. Okay, but we always like, if we can, to block the crossface like so. So now she goes to crush me. I just off balance everything up over my right shoulder by bringing my knee to my chest, my top knee, my left leg to my chest, and bringing her buttocks forward. So that now from here, we can look to go in and sit up. We can do this as well with a high knee shield. If I go to scoop the leg and she goes to sprawl, I just keep that knee-elbow connection, but I shoot everything through. Now I bring my knee down, and as she goes to walk back and away from me, I just bump her forwards. Now we have an underhook. We can do this with the butterfly hook as well. I go to shoot to the far leg, and the mechanics remain the same. From this situation, I just close my left knee into her rib cage. I just bring everything, right shoulder, and we punch to an underhook. More realistically, I'm dealing with someone who is fighting me and wants to just disengage. I try to scoop the leg. I go to underhook, and now before he can get up, she just pushes and backs away quickly, and you feel like you're losing the underhook battle. So it's more realistic to start playing with a pumping motion with the legs. The whole goal is to get my partner's trapped leg, the knee of my partner's trapped leg, off the floor. So as she goes to play from here, I'm playing with a low knee shield, I'm playing this pumping motion, and then I form a center line shift. This is so important. my partner's head is going from one side to the other. This is what allows me to get an underhook. An underhook from here is useless because of her head position. If she puts her head over my elbow, like we spoke about in the passing instructional, she's going to effectively kill this underhook. So I need her head over my right shoulder. This pumping action allows me to do that. So as she goes to push back into me, I just bring everything to my chest. I pull my 2 knees to my chest, and I extend left shoulder. This gives me the ability to get a deep underhook in place and go to work. If I do it with a high knee shield, she goes to drive into me. I'm playing in here. I extend, and I shoot with an underhook, and now we're ready to go in and go into our attacks. Okay? There are various ways to enter into underhooks, whether we're scooping the legs first, or more reliably, we're getting a center line shift with our partner's head over the shoulder and then moving into a reliable underhook and attacking from there. All right, so as we talked about, playing with an underhook from a traditional knee shield half guard is going to be a lot more like the normal half guard that you guys have seen. All right, we're going to be looking to go into a situation known as the lower leg shift. Okay, when I go into a situation where I hit a lower leg shift, we're going to look at some goals we're looking to achieve here. All right, the first thing is I look to go in and start to scoop my partner's far leg. Okay, now it's great if I can scoop my partner's far leg before I hit the lower leg shift, but this isn't always the case. Sometimes I have an underhook like so, and I just look to start making a lower leg shift. Whenever I get to a situation where I'm in a lower leg shift, what I want is my partner's knee on the floor next to my hip. My partner's whole goal from this situation in a lower leg shift is to get her knee off of the floor and to my top hip, like so that she can drive her knee across and start to go into all of her attacks and passes. So the key to having a successful lower leg shift is when I start to move into this position, is I have to move into a situation where my knees are always pointing down towards the floor and my hips are coming forwards like so. But I can't have a situation where my knees point up and my partner can easily take her knees up and off the floor. Okay? When I move into a situation where I move into a lower leg shift, the main thing we're focusing on is keeping my partner's knee in the floor next to my hip. So that now, as she goes to open up her knee, it's a very difficult thing to do. And now we have time to go in and scoop my partner's far leg. Okay? So whenever we're looking at a lower leg shift, first and foremost, your goal is to keep your partner's knee in the floor next to your inside and bottom hip. If you can do this, everything's going to become much easier. Okay? So that when your partner goes to move around from here, it's very hard for her to start doing anything. The only thing she has is the back step, and we'll look at how to deal with that in the future. All right? Again, once we can keep our partner's knee in the floor, that's the most important thing. The second most important thing is getting in and getting control of my partner's far leg with the scoop grip. So now my partner goes to move around or run away from me or bring her knee off the floor. It's not an easy thing to do. Okay? So the 2 most important things we're looking at here when we initially lock a lower leg shift is to get our partner's knee to the floor by pointing our 2 knees to the ground and bringing our hips forward so that the knee's connected to our hip, and then getting into a situation where I can scoop my partner's far leg. Now my partner goes to run away, or goes to knee slice past, or goes to take her knee off the floor. It's not an easy thing, and we can start going into all of our attacks from here. All right, so now that we have goals in mind, we're playing with a lower leg shift, let's look at how to actually transition from a half guard to a lower leg shift position. We're going to have an underhook like so. Okay, we're going to go from an underhook and from a scoop grip. All right, so we're going to look at first an initial setup from when we just have a power prop with an underhook, and we're going to look at how to set up when we have a scoop grip as well. What I want is to shift down to my lower legs, down to my partner's lower leg, where I only control the lower leg and not the upper leg, hence lower leg shift. Right now, I control my partner above the knee. Okay. I want to make a transition where my partner's knee goes from below my hamstring to above my thigh and next to my hip. So all I'm going to look to do is I'm going to look to scissor my legs, push my partner's butt forward with my left leg, and shoot my partner's leg forward with, my partner's leg forward with my top leg and shoot my bottom leg down and away with a scissoring action. From this situation, I look to trap my partner's lower leg with my outside leg. And from here, we're going to look to bring our hips forward and point our knees towards the ground. So now at any point, if my partner goes to bring her knee off the floor, it's almost impossible. She can never get her knee to my far hip. All right? The same is true when we start with a scoop grip, like so. From here, we have a traditional half guard locked. We look to make a pass off, where I take my leg across to a lower leg, and now I look to bow my partner's ankle outside of her knee. What I don't want is just to shoot my leg through from these situations and have my partner's knee drift across on the transition. The same is true from an underhook and a power prop. I always make sure that I catch over my partner's ankle and I pull my partner's ankle outside the knee. So that now, as she goes to drift her knee across to the far hip during the transition, it's a very hard thing to do. If I have a scoop grip, nothing changes. We play in a position like so. We have a half guard lock, and now from here, I make a transition over with my left leg, and I back heel to pull her heel outside the line of her knee. So that now, as I go to make a transition, my hips are coming forward. I shoot my top leg forward, or my bottom leg forward, and now from here, we close the knee down to the floor. When my partner goes to drive the knee across, it's a very difficult thing to do. Okay? So once again, we have a half guard lock like so. From here, I'm going to look to come over my partner's Achilles tendon, and from here, pull the knee out like so. So that from here, I can shoot my bottom leg through. If my partner's sitting back on her heels, it's going to be hard to shoot my bottom leg through. So I flare the ankle out, and now from here, I give a quick bump, which brings my partner forwards and connects her knee to my hip. Now, my knee points towards the floor. I take my hips forward, and now as my partner goes to bring her knee up and off the ground, it's a very difficult thing, but I can start going into all of my offense from here. So whether we go from a scoop grip first or an underhook with a power prop, the principles remain the same. My partner's down in the half guard, I have a half guard locked. From here, I lace my outside leg over and I catch the ankle like so, and I flare the ankle outside of my partner's knee. Now from here, I give a quick bump underneath my partner's buttocks, right where the buttocks and the hamstring meet, and I just shoot my leg through like so. That now from here, my knees point towards the floor, my hips drive forward. When my partner goes to move me from here, goes to take her knee off the floor, it's very easy now for me to start coming up. Even if she takes the knee off the floor, go ahead. When she goes to drive it across to my far waist, she just aids me in the sweeping motion out to the side. And now when she goes to start coming up or pulling away from me, it just gives me the ability to start coming up and fighting into these positions. Okay? The transitioning from a half guard into a low leg shift by making sure that the whole time my partner's knee can't come up off the floor and drift across my far hip, moving into a 3/4 mount. All right, so from a lower leg shift, our primary goal is always going to be to get a far leg scoop grip and to start scooting underneath my partner. So we come in, we get a scoop, we move to a lower leg shift like so. Now, the beauty of a lower leg shift is that it controls the space between my two partners' knees. Okay, so she puts a whizzer in place, and from here, I'm going to look to start moving underneath my partner. So I'm going to look to start reverse shrimping underneath my partner while constantly making sure that my knees point towards the floor and I can bring my hips forward so that her knee doesn't come off the ground. Okay, so I'm going to take my 2 feet and invert my toes towards the ground. So that from here, I can start pulling my partner towards me with my arms and start reverse shrimping and scooting underneath my partner like so. So that now from here, I can move into a position where now it's very easy for me to just walk my partner over in this direction like so. It's going to be difficult, not impossible, but difficult for my partner to take her whizzer hand out and post on the ground. The reason being, she can only post so far in this direction. Go start turning. Post your hand out. What? And she can only post her hand out so far in this direction. The directionality that I'm sweeping is not towards her hand. It's out in this direction. Okay, so this will make it easy for me to start scooting all the way underneath, and I will be turning in a smaller circle than she will be. Now from this situation, I can easily start to come up, and now, because I have both her legs controlled, we're in a battle that I'm going to be winning in. When she goes to start exploding and back on top of me and turning back towards me, both of her legs are controlled. All I have to do is scissor my legs, step over my partner's knee into a half guard, and now when she goes to turn into me and explode back into me, it's useless. I can easily come in and start working from top position. So the key is that I'm turning a smaller circle than my partner. When we come into an initial lower leg shift, this time we can do it from an underhook. We move into a lower leg shift from an underhook, assuming we can get a far leg scoop grip. So we scoop into our partner's far leg like so, and we start turning a circle. A circle smaller than my partner's turning. So I start reverse shrimping underneath my partner's hips. I make sure that my partner's knee stays connected to my hip. If I have no action of pointing my knees towards the floor, and I'm not bringing my hips forward, as you start to turn the circle, your partner will raise the knee and drive it across. This is no good. This is not what we want. So I make sure the whole time when she goes to take her knee off the floor and drive it across, I'm just slowly rotating, and I'm turning a circle along the mat in a smaller circle that my partner can rotate in. Now there's always going to be a battle to get on top. When she goes to get on top as hard as she wants to, all I have to do is pull her heel away from her butt and take a big step with my top leg over my partner's knee. So that now I can control her in a half guard. When she goes to move on top of me, I just push the knee down and away and move into a half guard, and now we can start to pummel legs however we want from here. Okay? So we're turning a smaller circle than our partner, get into a sweep from our initial lower leg shift. All right, so this time, the obvious question is, what if you feel like you just cannot get your partner over, her hand posts just enough to where you feel like you can almost get them over, but the wizard hand comes out and makes an effective post? Whenever I see this, I get underneath my partner, I feel like I almost get them up, but I just feel like I cannot take them over completely. We're going to look to come into our partner's back. Now, the main issue with this is, everyone tells you, okay, you can't get your partner over, the wizard comes out, so we're going to come up, and we're going to come to a situation where we come up and we get to our partner's back. Yeah, that's great if your partner doesn't put a wizard back in place. The key to making this move work versus the move failing is my head position relative to my partner's body. If my head moves out and away, like so, and I take my time coming up to a situation where I try to go to my partner's back, before I know it, her wizard's going to come back in place, and I'm going to be back to square one. When you come up to chase your partner's back, just focus on getting your ear to your partner's lat muscle. That's the only thing you need to worry about. If you can get your ear to your partner's lat muscle, you're going to win the battle every time. So I look to start moving out and underneath my partner, and from here, the second I feel I can't take my partner over, I'm going to look to just take my hand and post it on my partner's lat muscle. This will give me the ability to start moving back in the opposite direction, putting weight on her hands, and just will give me the ability to quickly take my head out and connect it here to my partner's lat muscle. When she goes to put a wizard in, if I stay here, she can only get an over back grip. She'll never be able to put a wizard in place. If my head stays out here somewhere and she goes to put a wizard in, it'll always come on. So I just focus on getting my head to my partner's lat muscle. Now, as she goes to win the battle or put the wizard in, I can easily climb up and I can start to go into all of my attacks in turtle position. So what this will look like, I'm going to take my partner up and over. I feel like I can't do it. All I'm going to look to do is get my head to my partner's lat muscle. This is all you need. Now she goes to win the battle for the wizard. We can start to go into work from here. Okay? The battle is simple. If you cannot sweep your partner with a traditional lower leg shift and a scoop grip, Just think about getting your bottom ear to your partner's lat muscle. If you can do that, that's all you need. Okay? What I can't have situations where I go to come up and the underhook comes in, my head stays far out and away. The whizzer comes in every time. That's how you lose these battles. Then you go back and forth from coming up, and then you see people rocking back and forth, going for the sweep, going for the back take. So I go for the initial lower leg shift, like so. Now the second I feel I can't beat her from here, I just post my hand on my partner's lat muscle. From here, all I'm going to look to do is take my ear to where my hand was. As we go to race to get her whizzer versus my head to the back, it's going to be a battle pretty easy for me to win because all of the weight is from her hands. So before she can put her whizzer back in, she has to sit her weight back towards her heels, and now take the weight off of her hands to throw the whizzer in place. So as we go to race on a 1, 2, 3, it'll be pretty easy for me to win this battle. 1, 2, 3. I can always get my head to my partner's back. Now it's just a matter of building height, moving around, and then going into attacks from turtle position. So when I fail an initial lower leg shift, I feel like I can't sweep my partner and she just manages to post a hand in time. I just come up, get my ear to my partner's lat, and then go into attacks from turtle. All right, so now we always are going to run into situations where we move to a lower leg shift and we want to come up towards our partner. Usually it comes from a situation where I make a lower leg shift and my partner's giving me an issue scooping this far leg. Okay, where I go to scoop the far leg and she sprawls it back and away from me, and I feel like it's hard for me to start getting to a scoop grip and scooting underneath my partner. All right. Whenever I see this, I'm gonna look to start building up to my knees. Okay. The way that I do this is very simple. The big mistake everybody makes is they keep a tight waist around their partner's waist and torso. So when I go to come up, I feel the extreme pressure of my partner's whizzer, where she can start driving into me, pushing me backwards, and start driving me down towards the floor. Whenever I go to come up from a lower leg shift, I feel like I can't get a scoop grip. Okay, if I cannot get a scoop grip, it means my partner's sprawling far and away from me. If I can get a scoop grip, it's because she's relatively close to me, and now I can start going into my original attacks. But when she's moving away from me, this entices me to start coming up. The problem is, as I go to start coming up, the whizzer puts me back down, and then I go to scoop into the leg, and then the whizzer puts me back down. As she goes to drive into me, the whizzer puts me on my back. And now from here I go to scoop and she sprawls, and you find yourself in this battle where you try to come up, she whizzers you down, everything comes back in place, and then I go to scoop and she sprawls away again. You just feel like you can't get anything going from here. Whenever I feel I can't get to my partner's far leg with a scoop grip and start doing our previous attacks, start going into our previous attacks, I'm just going to take my hand below my partner's buttocks like so. Now, as I go to start moving to a power prop and coming up to position, because my arm is not across my partner's waist anymore and rather underneath my partner's buttocks, when she goes to start applying a strong whizzer from here, I feel almost no effects of the whizzer. This, go ahead, versus this, go ahead, is a world of difference. Your partner will be able to apply almost no pressure here from a whizzer. From this situation, I'm just going to start to look to start building up to my knees, like so. So that from here, I can start to go into attacks. Once we get into this situation, we're going to go through a variety of attacks that we can start going into. I'm not going to spend too much time here because, again, this isn't really half guard, but I'm just going to give you some options as far as going into your partner's back takes and what have you. All right, but I just want to show you the initial get up into a position where it's underhook versus whizzer without getting crushed and just going back and forth between getting crushed from a whizzer. I can't get my partner scoop. I can't scoop my partner's far leg, and I try to come up and she whizzers me down again. So I make sure that as I go to come up, I transition to below my partner's buttocks like so. So when she goes to apply a strong whizzer, there's almost no whizzer here, and now we can start to go into all of our attacks and get a win from underhook versus whizzer. All right, so there's, I don't know, 20 to 30 moves that I could be doing from here that I can be showing you guys, but we're not in half guard anymore. So I'm just going to show you guys a few basic ways to sit your partner down from this position, and then in future instructionals and scrimmage wrestling or something where it's more about this position, we'll go over how to actually win battles from here consistently against high-level players. right? So we come up initially from a half guard. We form a lower leg shift, and we get up to a situation like so. All right, whenever I'm in this situation, I'm going to look to step my far leg up so my partner goes to hit a whizzer and takes all the power off like so. From this situation, I'm going to look to take my partner's far leg, the shoelaces, with my left hand, and look to start driving across and getting to my partner's far leg. I put a blocker in front of my partner's far leg. I don't think about pulling my partner's leg towards me because a very strong person will be able to move the leg away from me. Okay? If she's much stronger than me and she opens her legs, it's going to be hard for me to pull that leg towards me. Rather, I put a blocker in front of my partner's far knee like so. And now, from here, I just slide my left knee forward so it brings her knees closer together. Now, I block my partner's far knee. When she goes to move it away from me, it's a very easy thing to just start pressuring forwards into your partner and putting her down to a wrist like so. Where now from here, it's relatively easy to go in and using a multitude of options to start sitting your partner down and winning the exchange for top position. Okay? We get to a situation where it's underhook versus whizzer from a lower leg shift. And from here, we're supposed to start stepping our leg up like so. We go in and we use a low hand so my partner can't put a strong whizzer on me. And we get to our partner's far shoelaces. Now we put a blocker in front of our partner's far leg. I want my partner's knees to be as close together as possible. So I start sliding forward like so and getting a blocker in front of that far leg. When my partner goes to move away from me, a good head position in my partner's shoulder. So when she goes to hit a strong whizzer, there's no effect from here. And now from here, I can start leaning my weight into my partner. It's her hand stabilizing her versus the entire weight of my body and the drive off my foot. So when she goes to just stay up on her hand, I can easily put her elbow down to the floor by pushing my head backwards like so. I don't push straight into her hand. She'll be able to support me for some time. She will fall eventually, but it's a long process. So I push my weight forwards into her and then back behind her where she has no base of support. This will always expose my partner's far wrist where we can come in, capture, and now we win the battle for top position like so. Okay? We find ourselves in situations, this is the next follow-up question, where we have, and again, there's multiple things we can do from here, but it's not half it anymore. Just so you guys know, a follow-up question is always going to be, what if my partner steps a leg up and I can't access my partner's far leg? Whenever I see this, all I'm going to look to do is take a grip of my partner's waist like so. And now I'm just going to look to slide my knee forward and sit my partner back in this direction, like so. Where now from here we can step over our partner's legs and start to play with various transitions from there. So you play a simple dilemma game. If my partner's leg is down, it's going to be impossible to sit my partner backwards because she has so much base behind her because of the orientation of her leg. So you can just put her toes in the mat and I never push her partner backwards. This comes at a price of, now I can get to my partner's far leg and circle my partner down to the floor. Okay? My partner steps the leg up and she starts driving into me heavy with a whizzer. Okay? Whenever I see this, I just catch my partner's far head. Now, yes, the whizzer will be more effective from here. But because I have a foot up, it's okay to briefly go to the waist. Now I plant the hand on the floor. From this situation, now she has no base behind her, whereas before she did. So now it's going to be impossible to get to my partner's far leg, but very easy to just slide my knee forward. And when she goes to create a strong base, you can always sit your partner down. Now you're winning this battle very, very easily from here. So if we play from here, and the knee's down, and she goes to stop me from taking her over, it's almost like a joke. This time, if I try to use the same method, and she steps the leg up, now there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do anything. So I wait for my moment, I toast the hand. Now I go to the far waist. When she goes to hit a strong whizzer, the directionality force of the whizzer is directly into my right hand. So when she goes to apply a strong whizzer now, she can't. Now from here, when she goes to make a strong body, I can never get to her far leg, but I can always slide my knee forwards and just pull and sit her down to the floor, where now from here I can easily cover and gain top position. So again, multitude of options from there. Just basic getting to the far leg and playing a dilemma game between a knee up and a knee down off of a lower leg shift. All right, so now there's always going to be times where I come up from a lower leg shift and we feel like a guy just has a strong whizzer and we feel like we're not going to be able to start winning this battle from an underhook versus a whizzer. Maybe the guy's better than us, maybe he's been wrestling for a long time. Whatever the case is, I feel like no matter what I'm going to do from here, I'm not going to win this battle. Whenever I see this and I feel like my partner is starting to whizzer me down like so and driving into me, no problem. All I'm going to look to do is look to dive underneath my partner. Now, as I go to dive underneath my partner like so, what I want to think about is taking my partner over my shoulder. What everyone does is as they dive, they try to go from one side straight to the other side and they get stuck here. What I'm thinking about when I'm going to take my partner over is I'm thinking about diving underneath my partner's legs, and instead of taking her from left to right, I'm thinking about taking her up and over my left shoulder instead. So you see that the directionality of force is different? If I just go across in a straight line, look where we land. We land facing in this direction. If I go over the shoulder and I look to dive with my head between my partner's legs, watch where we land now. I land facing you. This is very important when you're talking about going into sweeps from here with the lower leg shift. So from this situation, I feel like for whatever reason, I'm not going to win this battle. Even if my partner has the leg up, it's not going to make a difference. All I have to do is think about diving underneath my partner and clamping down on my partner's hand. People will tell you grab the wrist, do all kinds of things. You don't need to do that. All you need is just to have her wrist trapped long enough to take her up and over. So as I look to start diving underneath my partner's leg, notice I can't reach if I just go in a straight line across from east to west. I need to go up and over the shoulder. So I look to dive underneath my partner's leg so that now I can get to a far scoop grip, like so, okay? And all I need to take my partner over is a clamp of my left elbow on the wrist. So it's not impossible for her to pull her wrist out, but when she goes to pull it out in time for me, and the time allotted for me to sweep, it becomes very, very difficult. Now we can go up to top position. So whenever I feel my partner is just absolutely killing me with the whizzer, whether she has a knee down or a knee up, doesn't make a difference. She has a knee down for this one. From here, I feel like I'm going to start to go into another rolling entry where I'm pushing into my partner, she pushes back, and I create a dilemma of going back underneath. I think about rolling over my right shoulder, not across from east to west. So as I go to scoop my partner's far leg, I just roll over my right shoulder, and again, I keep my partner's knee in place. I don't want to go to roll, and she drives her knee across to my far hip, and you look like an embarrassment from bottom, and you pull yourself into mount or into submissions. So I keep good leg positioning and good knee positioning on her part with her knee connected to my hip. So that now as I go to roll through, when she goes to base her hand out or move her knee position, she finds it difficult. And now from here we can go into all of our follow-ups from a top passing position. Okay? So this time you feel like you're absolutely getting killed with the whizzer. You're losing the battle underhook versus whizzer. And you look to roll underneath your partner. What's important for this one is the directionality of force. I don't move east to west. I move into an upper quadrant diagonally over the shoulder. All right, so now let's talk about our partner countering a roll through. Just as before, I told you, I'm not just going to move into a half guard from any various position. Like, oh, my partner chooses not to use a whizzer, and I'm just going to shuck to the back. Okay, no one's ever going to do that who knows anything about anything. All right, but we can force dilemmas to force your partner to think about either getting swept or posting the hand, and that will give us the ability to take our partners back. Where if she keeps the whizzer, she gets swept. If she doesn't, she gets her back taken. So similar to before, when I go to scoot underneath my partner, I'm going to look to start going into attacks on my partner's back from here. This time it's going to be with a little bit more momentum. So this time the whizzer's killing me, and I go in for a shoulder roll. I go to take my partner over. This time before she goes over and I get a chance to trap my partner's hand, she posts the wrist out on the floor like so. And now we're in the same position we were just in as before, where now from here I just post my partner's back, and I just look to shoot my ear to my partner's lat muscle. Where now as she goes to win this battle for the whizzer, I can come up and I can start attacking my partner from turtle position. Okay? So this time, instead of scooting underneath my partner at first, I use the momentum of a roll through to get things moving a little bit more. So this time I'm getting killed in the whizzer. I give it a shoot through to my partner's far leg, and she posts the hand. We come through, and we get our partners back. This is what it's going to look like in competition, or when I'm training with someone, and I'm really playing from here. She's going in whizzer hard. I feel like I'm getting beat. And now from here, we can go and take our partners back. Worst case scenario, she puts her whizzer back in, and then you just reboot the whole system and start again. So that's the beauty to this. This worst case scenario, I get a roll through, I miss the back, I come up, now she has a whizzer, and no problem. And then I can just either scoop the far leg from here and come up, and I can start playing with one of those many options that we spoke about before, where you can come in and go into our attacks. Okay? So basic dilemma again there between rolling through and attacking my partner's back. All right, so this time we're in a situation where my opponent's winning the battle for knee position. So we're in a lower leg shift, and we scoop into our partner's far leg. And this time we feel that our partner is doing a good job of getting the knee up and off the floor, okay? Just understand something. If you don't have a scoop of your partner's leg, and she's backing away like so, there's physically no way from here that she can take her knee across to my far hip before I get up. And she goes to take her knee, even if my leg position's open, when she goes to take her knee out to my far hip, there's no reason why I can't just bump her forwards and get up to a turtle position, okay? The only way that she can do this is if I stay here long enough for her to take her knee up and drive it across, and then she puts you in a 3/4 mount. This is not really feasible. All you have to do is just bump your partner forward with this low underhook here and put her weight on her knee. So if I come into here, I get an underhook and I have a lower leg shift. When she goes to bring her knee across to my far hip, even if my knees are open, go back. Even if my knees are open, go ahead. I just bump her forward and get up, okay? But there's a real danger when I'm in a situation like so, because now I can't really bump her forward to the same degree because I'm not really behind her or on the side of her. I'm more underneath her. So now when I go to bump her forward, she just bases the weight onto her hand. She puts it more out in front of me, above my head. And now when I go to bump her forward and she goes to bring her knee up and across, it's pretty easy for her to do that, okay? Whereas if I'm behind her, or more side on and behind her, now as she goes to do it, I have height, and that height allows me to get up. When I'm underneath my partner, she wins the battle for height, and she can easily take her knee up and across and start driving across, and this is no good for me. So from this position, we get on a lower leg shift. When I see my partner from here, look to start bringing her knee up and across. I let her get her knee to the middle, to my center line, like so. And from this position, all I'm going to look to do is open up my left knee and elongate my partner's leg like so. So that now from here, I fall flat to my back, and I lock my hands around my partner's hips like so. From this position, I lock a figure of 4. I put my partner's knee on my hip, and from here we move into Hisagatame. My partner from here, if she doesn't do anything, will get submitted. She has a couple of options. Number 1 is from this position, she taps. I splay my knees open, and I drive my hips forward. That's what's going to break her. My knees open, like so. My hips come forward, and we get strong finishes. If your partner, before you put pressure, realizes this, and she can drive her knee back down to the floor, she can avoid getting broken, but now she's back in a lower leg shift position, and you have a second try at your original moves from here. The reason why it's hard for her to move across to my far leg, to my far hip now, is because my left hip is higher than my right hip in relationship to the floor. So when I start putting pressure on the Hisagatame, and she goes to start driving the knee across, it gets caught. The only way she can potentially move her knee is down towards the floor, and that takes the pressure off the Hisagatame, but it gives me the ability now to start moving into my lower leg shift series again. Another option that she has is when I'm in this situation with the Hisagatame here, is my partner takes the pressure off by rolling belly down to the floor. So she takes the pressure off by rolling like so, and as I go to follow my partner, I end up in a situation like so. Now, because my legs are figure 4 to the inside, it gives my partner the ability to turn her knee out towards me, and now the Hisagatame slips. So what I want When I lock the initial Hizugatame, I have to have my legs figure forward on the inside. When she goes to roll through, I make a switch where I catch my partner's calf muscle with my inside foot. So my right foot in this case is going to go above my own calf muscle, and then I'm going to track my partner's leg to keep it elongated, and I move down like so. So that my Achilles now is on my partner's Achilles. I lock my legs in the opposite direction. From this situation, if I stay belly up, and I go to bridge in from here, now she can drive her leg across to the far side, and this is no good. Okay? So what I want from this situation is to switch as she's going. So I start here, like so. So I can use my knee to close into my partner's leg so that her knee can't drive across to my left hip. Go ahead. She feels like it's impossible. Whereas when I'm here, now when she goes to drive across, the leg's in a different position, and my legs are figured forward to the outside, her knee can easily drive across and beat me from here. So that critical moment where I see my partner's capitulating over to the side, and I'm going to win this battle for top position. As she goes to start making a transition over, I'm going to come through and I reach to my own calf muscle with the sole of my foot. I track my partner's leg down to the Achilles tendon, so the whole time her leg stays in place. When she goes to move her leg and finagle her knee position, it's not an easy thing. And now as we go to make a transition over to the top, now I have the ability to turn my left hip down. When she goes to angle her knee towards me to avoid the pressure on the Hizugatame, it's a very difficult thing. And now from here I just walk down towards my partner's ankle at the long end of the lever. When she goes to move her knee in any direction, it makes it easy now for me to start driving my hips in, splaying the knees out. The only way that she can move her knee now is in the direction that she doesn't want to move, which is away from me. And that makes it easy now for me to go in and start passing my partner's guard. Okay? So we did Hizugatame series here, where I move to a lower leg shift, and I feel that my partner is going to take her knee up and through. Okay? From here, I let my partner's knee get to my center line, but no further. So as her knee comes up, I can control the rate at which her knee moves with the angle of my hips and the position of my left knee. If my left knee opens up towards the ceiling, then she can easily drive all the way across. So I control her knee position. When she goes to drive it up and off the floor and across, I just let it go to center, and then I lock it in place. Now from here, I lock my hands to put stronger braking mechanics in place. From here, my legs are locked to the inside. When she goes to turn the knee to the opposite hip, it's an impossible thing. My legs are locked to the outside, and she goes to turn the knee to the opposite hip. It's the easiest thing in the world. So I lock my legs to the inside, and from here I open up my two knees like so. When my partner goes to move around, it's not an easy thing. The only thing she can hope for is to drive her knee back to the floor where she came from, and now you just reboot the system and start going into your lower leg shift series. Your partner from here is certain to get broken. I splay my legs open, my hips come forward, and I get a strong finish with Hizugatame. Your partner will often fall over to the sides and start alleviating some of the pressure. If I stay with my legs locked how they are, I just get to sweep and nothing more. Go ahead. As we fall, she angles the knee towards me to alleviate the pressure. Go ahead. Towards me. And now from here, she's gone. So as we go to take our partner up and over, she goes to fall to the side. From this situation, I just switch my legs. My sole goes to my own calf muscle. I track my partner's leg down. What I don't want is this. Now she just moves her knee across my far hip, and you're in a tough spot from here. So I keep my partner's leg elongated. So I track my partner's leg down to the Achilles. The whole time, when she goes to move her leg position, it's a difficult thing. And now as she falls, we track my partner over. When she goes to angle her knee towards me, it's impossible. Now we can break our partner from a Hizugatame from top position. What this will look like, if she goes to win this battle, go ahead. I start putting pressure. As she goes to fall, and I finish the strong Hizugatame action from top position. If she goes to angle her knees away, now we come in and we start pommeling and plugging a game where we can easily pass. Okay, so that's our Hizugatame series, coupled with our lower leg shift. So now we have a basic dilemma between playing with the lower leg shift if our partner's knee is on the floor, and playing with the hizigatame if the knee comes off the floor. And then if your partner defends the hizigatame, you either end up back where you started with the lower leg shift series, and now your partner is more cagey and nervous about taking the knee off the floor because of the threat of the hizigatame. Or you go for a hizigatame and they fall off to the side, and then you just have a sweep and possibly a submission on the opposite side. All right, so now we're in a lower leg shift, very common defense. Our partner back steps on us. All right, so we move to a lower leg shift. We are in a lower leg shift regardless of how we got there. And just understand, if you have a scoop grip, your partner can't backstep. When she goes to backstep from here, she can't move her leg. All right, so this lower leg shift is going to come from a situation where you have an underhook with a lower leg shift but no scoop grip. She goes to backstep, and now from here, she goes in and locks her legs. The first thing I want to make sure of is that my opponent can't backstep, pull my knee forwards, and lock a reinforced wedge with a triangle, and now enter into my legs. Okay, this is going to be no good. So the second my partner goes to backstep, from any situation, I want to make sure that as she goes to backstep, I shoot my top leg away from my body. So when she goes to lock a figure of four, she at least can't lock her legs and reinforce the wedge. This is no good. Now the problem is, she can always start moving away from me and falling and going into a rolling attacks, and then start exposing my heel and then lock her legs later. So this is no good. Whenever I see, especially with good leg lockers, my partner start to go into a backstep, the first thing I'm going to look to do is I'm going to simultaneously pommel my elbow to the inside position relative to her knee, so that my elbow is closer to my body than my partner's leg. Now, as she goes to backstep, I open up my knee like so. When she goes to backstep into my leg, the leg's not available. And now from here, I look to push my partner's knee forwards and away from it. Now, from the situation, your partner has a couple of choices. Usually what's going to happen is she's going to keep a whizzer. If she doesn't, then you just take your partner's back. What's going to happen from here is your partner's always going to come up. As your partner goes to come up and square to you, all we're going to look to do is go in and get a low grip below our partner's buttocks or even on the ankle. So as your partner goes to move away from here and circle in front of you to a front headlock, you can't. And now we come into situations where we can recapture the leg and then start moving into all of our attacks from here. Okay? So your partner goes to backstep from a lower leg shift. What I want to look to do is get in the inside elbow position. What I can't have is, from the situation, she backsteps and my elbow's out here. Now I have no ability to knock her forward. So the second I see this, I immediately just move my elbow in like so. So I bring my left shoulder, my top shoulder forwards, and as she goes to backstep, I can always get the inside elbow positioning. Now as she goes to backstep, my knees are together. This is no good. So I always raise my leg up like so that as she goes to hit the backstepping motion, she can't. Now everything just comes forward. My underhook moves down like so, and I just bump my partner forward at the butt and move her out and away. Now the danger is she can start going into front headlocks from here. So the second I see this, I just drop my hand down to my partner's ankle. When she goes to circle and move into a front head, I can easily scissor my legs and come up. If I stay on a whizzer from here, number one, as I go to come up, she can crush me with a whizzer. And number two, she can just circle in front of me and move into deadly front headlocks. So from this situation, I capture my partner's ankle. As she goes to follow and move to a front head, go ahead. I can always beat my partner from here, recapture my partner's leg, and then move into all of my follow-up attacks. Okay? So she goes to backstep. From a lower leg shift, I get my elbow inside. As she goes to backstep, go ahead. We find ourselves in a situation where we can bump our partner forwards. And now from here, as we both go to win this battle, go, go, go. I can always put my partner's far hand on the floor. The key, when I grab my partner's ankle, is to put weight over this hand. So as I scissor my legs, everything is driving towards my partner's far hand. When she gets to take that hand off the floor and circle, I just lift my elbow off the floor. So as she goes to circle and follow me, it becomes a difficult thing to do. Now we have various counterattacks that we can go into our partner's legs, our partner's back, etc., etc. Okay? When our partner goes to backstep, we steal the inside position. We deny her the ability to trap the leg, and then we use that to start moving into our lower leg shift series by bumping her forward, recapturing the leg, and then rebooting the system. All right, so just now before we move on, I'm not going to show all the pinch headlock stuff again from this position. All right, just know that whenever we go into a half guard, and we play with an underhook, we're going to be closing off the underhook section now of this half guard. Whenever we play with an underhook, we always have the option to move to a pinch headlock like so. Okay, where now I have a pinch headlock. It doesn't make sense for me to start pushing my partner away with a knee shield. I can't really do anything from here. But you can use a setup from an outside knee position to get to an underhook, move to a pinch headlock, and then of course, you can go and you can interchange this position where instead of playing with the knee outside, I just look to insert my knee to the inside, okay? Or my foot to the inside and play it with a butterfly guard and go into all of our previous attacks. So I have a pinch headlock and I'm here, my partner starts moving towards me. If I feel like I can't get my butterfly hook in, I just use a knee position to create elongation of my partner's body. I make space and then I pommel my leg in, okay? So if my partner's not pushing into me, I just simply pommel my leg in. If my partner goes to push into me, I put a knee inside my partner's hip. Where now from here I can lift the knee by extending my legs and my hips away from myself and into my partner, and I can make it easy now for me to pommel my knee to a foot inside. And now you have all of your pinch headlock series that you can go into, going into a butterfly guard, going into sumigashis, and going into attacks on your partner's legs, and etc., etc. Okay, so just know that even though I didn't show locking a pinch headlock from outside knee position, you can always go into an underhook, lock a pinch headlock, and then go back to a butterfly guard. Just as I spoke about before, we're interchanging these positions, and once you have one, you can always go to the previous moves we looked at before. All right, so similar to butterfly half guard, when we started where we would get the underhook, and then we would go to our opponent getting the underhook, we're gonna move in the same sequences here. We went from a knee shield half guard to an underhook, and we looked at transitions from there. And then we moved to a situation now where we're in a knee shield half guard with a low knee shield, and our opponent punches an underhook into place, okay, like so. My partner's reaching towards me, looking to get an underhook in place, the head's low, and now from here, she's looking to come in and get a cross face. Normally the line of thought here is that my partner will either one, get an underhook in place and sprawl her legs back and crush my legs together, crush my legs together, and then move to a tight waist, and now she can start controlling my head with the cross face and moving up my body and climbing her way up towards my head to control the head. Or my partner will get an initial underhook / tight waist, and from here, she just manages to slip the knee past the hip, and then she lunges forward, locks an opportunistic top, head, and arm, and then from here, she can go into start her passing series, okay? So from this situation, when I see my partner looking to put an underhook in place, I'm gonna look to make a quick transition back to a butterfly half guard, all right? If you want an example of this, I did it numerous times in my roles against JT in the Adolfo camp footage, okay? There's a key to this. First things first, what I can't have happen is my partner take her outside leg and pommel over my trapped leg, push it off like so, and then pommel her leg around. Nope, this way. And then from here, she's past my legs essentially. She's looking to come forward and usually use a tight waist to control my legs and go into passes. So the first thing I'm going to look to do, the second my partner gets an underhook on me or a tight waist like so, I'm going to control my partner's tricep and look to start elongating my partner's body. So I initially push my knee into my partner's hip and I shorten my bottom leg. So that again, my leg gets caught like a knot at the end of a rope just to my partner's legs, like so. So now when my partner goes to leg pommel, I take away her ability to pommel because now my leg is too short. She has no purchase on my leg. If my leg's all the way out here, she can easily pommel in various ways past my legs. So I look to keep her head forward with her posture broken and just pull my bottom leg towards me and shoot my top leg away. So I'm scissoring my legs. It's actually pretty hard from here when she has to pull out and away from me with this tricep grip. She can't because she can't bring her hips towards me because of the knee shield. So now from this situation, when she goes to pommel her legs, she can't. In addition, I need to make sure I have an inside bicep tie so when she goes to cross face me, she can't cross face me like so. From this situation, I'm going to look to put a full overhook in place and clamp my elbow down. So when she goes to pull herself out now, it's even harder. From this situation, I'm going to look to elongate my partner's hips like so and take her knee off the floor. I do this by extending my hips and extending my lower leg into her hips. So I extend and then I push and I scissor my legs. So I'm scissoring my legs in two different directions. I'm pulling my bottom knee to my chest and I'm shooting my top leg away from it. In addition, I'm shooting my top knee into my partner in this direction and I'm pulling my bottom leg towards me with the back heel. So it's a multi-directional scissor. I scissor front to north to south and east to west. So that from here, as she goes to keep her knee on the floor, I can always elevate my partner's knee. From this situation, I'm going to look to take my foot into a situation where I'm directly underneath my partner's knee, so that my leg now is in one straight line. And from here, I can always feed a butterfly hook into place. So I've effectively switched from a knee shield half guard to a butterfly half guard. And now we all know what's coming next. We look to from here, forward shift, go from an inside bicep tie to a wrist, and then pull my partner into various Systematically and attacks off of this. Okay? So a very specific way to make this transition. And if you want to study it against a high-level guy, just watch the matches with me and JT. All right? The biggest concern here is that your partner puts an underhook in, and right away starts to go into a series of leg pommels where she switches her hips, she pommels a leg, and she starts to leg pommel past my legs from here. So what I'm looking to do is always give her less of a purchase on my lower leg. So I initially catch like so she can't immediately extract her arm. Now I push my top leg into her and I just pull my bottom knee towards me. So now when she goes to pommel the legs, there's no leg pommeling to be done. This is so important. I cannot stress this enough. This is the difference between getting your guard pass and getting a sweep. Now I go from an initial catch in the tricep, which just quickly holds my partner in place, to a full overwrap with an overhook. Now, as my partner goes to posture up and pull the arm out, it's not easy because she can't bring her hips forward. If I had no knee shield, now she can easily posture up and pull the elbow in. But because of the fact that I'm extending her body and keeping her posture broken with the overhook and the knee shield, when she goes to pommel out, it's not easy. When she goes to cross face me, she can't because of the inside bicep tie. When she tries to drive her hips forward, she can't because of my knee shield. And now all I'm looking to do is scissor my two legs. Now to insert my butterfly hook, I can't just come out and then place my butterfly hook in. She'll just walk towards my center line and flatten you out. At no point can I stop the elongation of her body. I can never get her knee off the floor and then think I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to insert my butterfly hook. Every single time you do this, your partner will just drop the knee to your far hip and you'll get flattened out. So I need to make a switch from a knee shield to a butterfly hook while keeping tension running through my partner's body. So I keep that tension running through my partner's body, and now the whole time when she goes to bring her knee back to the floor, when she goes to crush me, she can't. Now the second I put a butterfly hook in, I forward shift, and now we're ready to go into all of our attacks once again from a butterfly half guard. So a very, very specific way to make a shift from a knee shield half guard back into a butterfly guard, provided your partner has a tight waist or an underhook. And this is a very effective way to lure them in to them having a false sense of security and then switching back to a butterfly guard. Because the fact of the matter is, anyone good knows that if they have a butterfly hook and she comes on to me, and now I have an overhook, she's coming onto a Systematically. I have a butterfly hook in place. But nobody assumes that when you have a knee shield, because now she puts a tight waist or a butterfly or an underhook in, and now she's like, okay, well, even if I pressure into him, he can't lift me with the butterfly hook or the butterfly sweep Systematically because the knee's on the inside, not the foot. But if you can make that transition without relinquishing the ability to keep tension running through her body, then it becomes much easier to make a switch to a butterfly guard. And now she realizes, okay, I'm going to get taken over, but it's already too late. And by this time, we can drive our partner forward. So let's say we're playing a butterfly guard, a butterfly half guard, and your partner's wary about engaging. She won't engage, she won't do anything. Sometimes I'll switch to a knee shield half guard. Where now, as my partner goes to drive forwards into me, she's more confident now that she won't get elevated because now there's no butterfly hook. Now I go in, I make a switch. I open up my legs, I make a subtle switch, I forward shift, and now I'm ready to go into all of my attacks from a butterfly half guard with an overhook. Okay, so a very, very specific way to switch from a knee shield back into a butterfly half guard. All right, so this time, another good option we have when our partner shoots in an underhook from the situation. Again, I'm always looking to make sure that I can block my partner's crossface, and I never allow my partner to start crushing my legs together and start moving towards me and controlling my head. Okay, that's her goal. So the second she gets an underhook, I'm initially safe, all right? Because as she goes to start coming in and crushing me, I have a situation here where I can control the distance between my hips and her hips, okay? The second I feel this, I'm going to always stick with just a grip of my tricep. The grip of my partner's tricep. The reason being, when my partner goes to start sprawling back away from me, like so, I can always create distance with this tricep grip. Okay, that's what I need for this. If I have an overhook like so, and I start trying to move myself away from my partner, if she's driving towards me, it makes it even harder to make distance. And even if she's sprawling back and away, it's hard for me to move myself away because I'm so connected with this overhook. So from here, I'm just going to stick with this long range grip. It's not as robust, but it keeps me locked in place for what I need to do for this situation. From here, I'm going to look to take an inside wrist grip like so, and look to monitor my partner's far hand. Now, I use an inside wrist grip for a very specific reason. I don't want her to expose the weakness of my one-on-one and pommel towards her own chest and break the grip like so. I want to go with an inside wrist grip, so now as she goes to pommel the hand out, she has to move up and away, which is exactly the direction I want her to be moving her hand. In addition, her shoulder will always run out of the range of motion to be able to actually break the grip. So when she goes to pommel her hand out, I can always control the arm very well. Here, now when she goes to break the grip, she can easily pommel. So I use an inside wrist grip, like so. From this situation, I use a long range grip on the tricep like so. And now I'm going to look to start moving my partner out and away from me. She can be sprawling, she can be doing all these things, doesn't make a difference. I just look to extend my hip and extract my bottom leg. I extract my bottom leg by pulling my partner's upper body towards me to get her heels moving away from her butt. If I just try to pull my leg out and she's sitting back towards her hips, I'm always going to get stuck. So I pull my partner towards me briefly, and then I go back to an extension. I just place a foot on my partner's hip, like so. Now, as she goes to posture up, I put a wedge on top of my partner's back with my knee, and we start moving into a situation where I move to a clamp guard. As she goes to move around, the pressure into me from here, it's very, very difficult. When she goes to move away from here, it's also very difficult. And now we can fire our left leg across to our partner's far shoulder and look to start going into situations now we're in a full clamp. My partner goes to posture up from here. It's very easy for me to throw my leg across, lock into a triangle, and now we can start going into all of our favorite triangle finishes where we can create angles and go in for the win. Okay? So we find ourselves in a situation where our partner goes in and locks up. Okay? As she goes in and she goes to lock up an underhook, I'm going to use a tricep grip like so. So that now from here, as she goes to cross face me and move around, I look to go for an inside wrist grip. Now I can't just pommel there from an inside bicep tie. So the first thing I have to do is focus, as she goes to cross face me, on putting her hand on the floor long enough by elevating up and over my right shoulder to get to an inside wrist grip. Now when she goes to pommel out, she finds it's a very difficult thing to do. From this situation, I make space with my upper body, and I pull my right leg out, and I post on my partner's hip. Now, it doesn't look like you're really controlling your partner here, but because you have a knee inside the hip, when she tries to posture up, she can't bring her hips forward. And now I can easily take my left knee to the back of my partner's center of my partner's back, and I can take my tricep grip out. From the situation, when she goes to start moving and pressuring in towards me, I have optimal wedges around my partner's upper body, and I can close that wedge by going to my partner's far shoulder. Now, when she goes to drive into me, I have all the inside real estate. When she goes to posture, I have a wedge on the longest end of the lever of her spine, which is the top of her head. And now from here, I can look to make space by throwing my hips forward, taking my knee to my chest, and then just firing across into a situation where we can lock into triangles and go into various other submissions from here. I'm not going to go into finishing mechanics of all the triangles, obviously, because we're looking at just setups from half guard. But when your partner gets overextended from there, we can go into triangles. You can play, if you're in a passing position, it's okay to come in and put an underhook in place or a tight waist in place and start to go into attacks from here. Right? But you have to know what you're doing. If your partner starts controlling this far wrist, it starts pulling you in, okay, something's wrong. Your partner should be trying to re-guard from here and go into just regular re-guards and then follow-up attacks. But if you're playing with an elite level half guard player and they let you get to this underhook or a tight waist and you feel like they're pulling you in from top position, you should be like, okay, something's wrong here. The guy should be freaking out because he's about to get his guard passed, but he's inviting me in. She should start to worry from here. Okay, so if you're in her position, you can play from a position where you're not yet past the top knee, and she can come in and get to a situation where she has a tight waist or an underhook, but you have to be there has to be some concern from here because she is a little bit overextended, and I can start to go into various attacks with either pommeling legs back into butterfly half or moving into triangles and other submissions. Okay, so that's another great option from when my partner pommels an underhook in from a knee shield half guard. All right, so now we're gonna look at all hell breaks loose. We're in a situation where our partner gets an underhook from a knee shield half guard like so. All right, from the situation, she gets an underhook and I feel like my knees get crushed together and she starts to climb her way up towards my head, right? Now, the big mistake everybody makes from this situation is they try to just push anywhere in their partner. This is not the idea. The idea is to focus on not letting your partner control your head. If your partner cannot control your head, you're going to be fine, okay? So the first thing we have to do is take everything back inside, all right? What I cannot have is my partner getting a cross face and my hand gets stuck outside, and now we're gonna be losing this battle. The second my knees get folded together, okay, I'm gonna take an inside bicep tie. I'm gonna take a cross shoulder post and everything comes back in, like so. I need to make sure that my elbow doesn't drift behind my rib cage, where now she can use an underhook to either pommel inside or just pick my elbow and slide it up. Just slide up to an underhook. And now my elbow gets caught outside. I'm worried about my elbow and I'm trying to get everything back in and the crossface comes in and now our hands lock and now, okay, there's some issues. If I take everything back inside and I make sure my elbow stays far in front of the back of my rib cage. So when she goes to pick my elbow, she can't. She slides up and there's nothing there. Now if she goes to come in and start crushing me, she can't do that either. Now the main danger is that she's going to start pommeling her legs to free the half guard leg. And she's going to start walking around my legs. Okay, this is more lines of guard retention. Right, so we will eventually do that, but not right now. All right, so what I'm going to look to start doing is the first thing I'm going to do as she goes to start driving forward and climbing towards my head is take the cross shoulder post and the inside bicep tie. Now I'm going to shorten my bottom leg so that she has no purchase to start pommeling her legs and getting past my bottom half guard hook. If she cannot control your head, you're going to be fine. So as she goes to drive forward and she goes to squeeze as hard as she can from the outside position, I'm just going to look to take my knee up to my chest and make space with the cross shoulder post. I move to a high knee shield, and now as she goes to drive forward, there's nothing there. And now I can use this once again to start off balancing my partner and moving into all of my counter attacks. Moving from a high knee shield, going back to a low knee shield, and going into situations now where I can always off balance my partner. I can go into my follow-up attacks. So worst case scenario, she either one, crushes my knees together. From here, I bring everything inside. If I'm playing from a situation where I have a low knee shield and my hands are outside, maybe she has an underhook like so, and I'm playing with an outside hand position and she crushes my knees together, I have to make sure my hands don't get stuck out here. I pummel my hands back to the inside the second this happens. So as she goes to drive forward, my hands come back to the inside. Now she goes to come forward and control the head. As long as she can't control the head, there's no danger from here. I shorten my bottom leg. When she goes to pommel the legs now, she can't. And now she goes to come forward and crush me. I just re-guard. I take everything back to place. And then from here, we can go into all of our follow-up attacks. All right? And then we can come in, start scooping, start going into underhooks. And then we have all of we reset and we're back in business. This time, our partner gets past our top leg. And this time, instead of crushing our knees together, she gets to an underhook, like so. And now from here, she starts moving up and she wants to start controlling my head. So instead of crushing my two knees together underneath her, she just gets past my top leg and now she starts driving forwards into me. Whenever I see this, we start off initially with locked legs. Maybe have the outside hand position. She goes to start driving forward, take everything back inside once again. Now, as my partner goes to drive forward, I just take my head in like so. And now she can do whatever she wants from here. As long as she can't control my head, I'm okay. As she goes to really start to put pressure on me, all I'm going to look to do is I'm going to look to open everything up and get my knee back inside. Okay? She can do whatever she wants. Try to stop me from getting my left knee inside. I can always bring my left knee back to the inside. So if I have my knees crushed, the knee comes up. If I have my knee outside and she goes to drive forward, I just make space with the cross shoulder post. Okay? I guide her head from one side to the other and I force her into a center line shift. When she goes to start coming forwards into me, if her head's on my left shoulder, I can't get my knee in. So I use the cross shoulder post to guide her out and over my right shoulder. So when she goes to come forwards, I make space. Now the knee can come in and now I can reset and go into my various attacking positions. Okay? So just a quick regard, my partner crushes my knee together or beats me and pushes my knee to the outside. How to just regard if all hell breaks loose and we need to just get back to a reset and start from a knee shield once again.